A brand new Child's Play is in cinemas tomorrow if you are watching this video on the day it goes live, and for many people that is a big deal. While Chucky does feel like a cult hero from yesteryear, there are still plenty of people and plenty of fans who credit this terrifying doll with opening the door to the horror genre and terrifying the absolute crap out of them. Raising eyebrows when it was first announced because it doesn't feature any input from original creator Don Mancini. Finally, the time has come to lift the lid on this and find out whether this was a good idea or whether this was a bad idea, and I'll just give you the too long didn't read version now, although you definitely should listen to the rest, and you will see why Child's Play is actually a pretty decent horror film, even though it's a horror film you've likely seen before. I mean, not literally, just within its themes. The first thing that you need to know is thankfully Child's Play doesn't take itself seriously at all, and that is very important, because if you are going to buy into this idea that a toy can basically become sentient and then go around and start murdering fools, well, you need to be able to laugh at how absurd the premise is, and the film absolutely allows you to do that. Using the modern world as its template to reboot the franchise, the Buddy toy is all the rage and acts basically like your Google Home Hub does or your Alexa assistant. So you can tell it to turn up your temperature, or you can tell it to turn your lights on and off, but it also doubles up as a lovely, wonderful toy for a child. It will even remind you that you forgot your science book before you go to school and sing you one of the creepiest songs you ever heard in your life. And that song ain't even meant to be creepy, but the undertones are there for all to see. Kind of goes like this. I am your birdie, you are my buddy. Ugh. But this all ties into how Child's Play wants you to feel, because at the start of the movie, this is just a mass-produced product that's going out all around the world and changing how everybody is dealing with their appliances and also how they're dealing with their entertainment for their kids. But even then, there is something off about these dolls. I mean, just look at its face. That ain't nice. Director Lars Klevberg is very reserved with this, as he doesn't jump into the madness straight away. He wants to establish all of his characters, including Andy, who is the poor so-and-so child that is going to have to deal with Chucky as he rises up, as well as his mother Karen, who plays the stereotypical struggling mum. Because he does this though, it means you are allowed to care about them enough and worry that maybe they're going to be stabbed in the face. I mean, don't get me wrong, Child's Play does tick every single horror trope you could imagine, but it kind of does so knowingly, so to get mad at that would be ridiculous. I mean, it kind of openly admits that with Glee, and almost wants to be a movie from 20 years ago that within its 90 minutes running time is also going to show you one of its victims having a lawnmower rip his head off, and yes, that is just one of the gruesome murders that you're going to see. As you'd imagine too, it is Chucky who gets his name because of a technical error with one of these dolls who steals the show, and he is wonderfully voiced by Mark Hamill, yes, he of Star Wars fame. Already proving that he has skills in this area, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, just go and hunt down his performance as the Joker in the Batman series. He absolutely laps this up and probably had a giant smile across his face the entire time, especially because he is a 67-year-old man who is more than in demand, and this proves exactly why that is. When events kick off properly too, Child's Play doesn't hold back. There are going to be plenty of moments where you take your hands and sink them into the armrest because you're screaming so much, and the methodical nature and the methodical pacing as Chucky goes off the rails just adds to the atmosphere and the drama. I mean, there is even a period where the relationship between Andy and this crazy doll is actually quite nice, but even then you're never comfortable watching it because of course you know what's about to happen, and you can either go a little further in that and come up with this kind of sort of subplot about how far would you go for a friend. Now don't get me wrong, everything Chucky does in this movie is absolutely horrendous and is absolutely wrong. At one point he kills a domesticated animal, and if anybody enjoyed that on any level, I'd think they were nuts. Well, I wouldn't think it, I'd know, but that's kind of what's so cool about Child's Play. On the one hand, you can look at it like, isn't that nice? I mean, Andy doesn't have many friends and he finds one in this doll, but on the other, the doll kind of likes him so much that it goes and kills a bunch of people. As mentioned, there is a lot of schmaltz in the opening half of the movie as it tries to let you know who's happy and who's sad and who's nice and who sucks. I mean, it's all here to see. One creepy maintenance guy is obviously going to get murdered. You can figure that out within about 32 seconds, and you even have the acceptable neighbours that live down the corridor, the people that walk around and just want to be loving to everyone. So straight away you probably go, well, something bad is going to happen there, because I like these people straight away. And horror movies like this always have those juxtapositions, because you have the characters that you don't mind seeing killed off, because, you know, they've done questionable things, and there's always the worry that, well, don't kill that guy off, because I like that guy and I want to make sure he makes it to the end. And we'll talk about all that later. Within the space of around about 25 minutes, a bunch of the established characters get brutalized by the legendary killer as the movie does indeed find its feet. I won't reveal the motivation as to why this particular buddy is able to do things that his friends aren't, but you do find out within the first 5 minutes of the film, and basically his security protocols get revoked and he's able to run amok. It also does take some genuine risks. One of the people that is killed off towards the end left me actually surprised that the team had gone out there to do this, and kudos to them. It's just a shame they weren't able to follow that through to the end credits. Because at one step, it does take steps even further than this that left me genuinely stunned that a certain someone had been splattered onto the floor, but that just meant that I was upset when there was one final twist in the tale, and it was a twist in the tale I personally could have done without. And I totally understand why this decision was made, and that was backed up by the Child's Play screening I was sat in, as I heard dozens of sighs of relief. But it does mean in terms of pushing the boundaries, Child's Play doesn't really have the edge it could have done otherwise, because it goes down a more familiar route. So this is more of a careful retelling of what the audience would assume, rather than subverting expectations. I mean, most of that is probably on my shoulders, but the opportunity was there to try and shake things up a bit. Like I say, it wasn't taking, so you're either going to love that or you're going to hate it. I venture more this way. On that note, however, nobody should be going into this hoping for more than the obvious. The reason you put your money down for something like Child's Play is because you want to go on a crazy adventure where Chucky does go around with his knives and his other toys, killing people, and that's exactly what you get, and he does so in more and more ludicrous ways. There's nothing deeper here than that, and really, there doesn't need to be. It's just a horror movie that's been rejigged so it can exist in the 2019 world and make sense given what we're used to and what we know. It likely means you're never going to see it more than once, and filling up on concessions is the best way to enjoy it, but on more than one occasion, like I say, you'll probably be dripping a few beads of sweat because you can't actually believe what you're about to see. For example, you ain't ever gonna look at a circular saw in the same way again. Gruesome yet ridiculous, hilariously dumb but vicious, you're likely gonna walk out of Child's Play with a big smile across your face, unless you never really got or understood what these movies were all about back in the day. It's really just an updated version of that. It's about a doll that kills people, for goodness sake, and it has its tongue firmly planted in its cheek. That does mean along the way you are going to roll your eyes, but I'd be surprised if the production team weren't doing that as well. In fact, sometimes I even think they play up to it, but that just makes the movie more fun than it already was, because it's like we're all in the joke. We're all in on what's going on. We'll just have a good time with it. A light-hearted yet malicious romp then. If you want to go out and watch a murderous doll just take out a bunch of adults while it becomes more psychotic as minutes passed, Child's Play is here. And Child's Play is for you. But again, it is really flipping weird, and at times it is really, really creepy. I mean, fair play to everyone involved for that, even though it is just a doll and you shouldn't need to worry about it. From minute 1 to minute 90, it's just like, I would never want that doll in my house. Now, don't forget to leave a comment below and let us know what you think about Child's Play, or your expectations if the movie isn't out yet. Like, share and subscribe. Head over to whatculture.com. We got loads of articles on there. Follow What Culture on Twitter at WhatCulture. Go watch more videos here on What Culture. My name is Simon Miller. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope if you are going out this weekend to check out Child's Play and you're a big Child's Play fan, you enjoy it, and try not to worry too much that doesn't have the involvement of the original creators or the original team. I think they've updated it as well as they can do, and I'm sure there'll be things that you've missed, but overall, it's nice to have new things. A Child's Play in 2019, there ain't nothing wrong with that. Just remember, it's shallow, it's dumb, it's silly. You're not meant to watch it more than once, and you kind of already figured out what's going to happen, apart from the people that may die. And like I said, there was 2 that surprised me. 1 they went back on, which sucked. They should have killed that person off. It would have been good. But all in all, I had a good time. I laughed, I smiled, I rolled my eyes. I did all of those things. That's Child's Play for you.
night, Andy.